In this lesson, we're going to be creating a script which is going to allow us to play Hangman. So it's going to look like this. If we tap on run, we're going to get a prompt in our console that asks for our name. Here I'm going to enter Federico because that is my name. And it's going to say, welcome to Hangman Federico. Now we have a word to guess, and we can guess by entering a letter. I'm going to put B, and since that was wrong, it's going to say we have 2 tries remaining. Then I'm going to try S, and it's going to place it there if there is an S, of course. If there's no S, it's going to say we have another wrong guess. So we can say, for example, Z, it's going to say, sorry, that was wrong, 1 try remaining. Now, if we tap in something such as E, and we put C, and maybe even an R, and we slowly start to guess the word, you'll see it's going to slowly fill out. Now, it's only missing 1 letter, so we'll add T, and the word was secret. So it's a very simple version of Hangman. And if we got that wrong, it will tell us that we lost. And just to show you, let's type in my name again. And here we'll tap in, let's say 1, 2, 3, and it'll say no more tries remaining, you lose. So that's what we will be creating in this lesson. And to get started, we're going to import from random the choice function. And I'll show you what that does as soon as we create our program. Now, our entire program is going to have one function, which is called run game. Just to keep this simple, we're going to leave it inside this function. And first of all, we need to create a word to guess. So here we have a word of type string, and that's going to equal choice. And inside choice, we need to include a list of words. So 1 word is going to be apple, 1 word is going to be secret, and 1 word is going to be banana. Ideally, you want to pass in a list of random words that you want the user to guess. The more words you have, the more spicy your program is going to be. Choice just picks a random element from the list and returns it and assigns it to word. So it's a very simple way to pick a random element. Next, we want to give the user a friendly welcome message. So username of type string is going to equal input of what is your name. And that will allow us to enter a username. Then we want to print welcome to Hangman, comma, and we will pass in the username. Next, we have some basic setup. So I'm going to write a comment called setup. And here we're going to create a variable called guest, which is going to contain a string. And right now it's an empty string, but each time we guess a letter, it's going to fill up with the letter that we guessed, so we can keep track of the letters that we are using. So that's the goal of this variable. And under that, we're going to add tries of type integer, which is going to be equal to 3 because we want the user to only have 3 tries. Otherwise, you can put 5 or you can put 10, depending on how hard you want your game to be. I think 3 is a pretty cool or a pretty difficult setting, so I'm going to leave it there. Next, let's create the actual game. So here we'll type in while tries is more than 3, because once we're out of tries, we want the game to finish, of course. We're going to do the following. So first, we're going to create a variable called blanks of type integer, which is going to equal 0. And blanks are just those blank underscores that are where the letters are supposed to be. So first of all, we're going to print, and before I print, I'll make some space. So we're going to print, let's say, the word with a space, and it's going to have an end line of nothing. So this is just going to be the starting point. This is the word we are guessing. Now, for each character or for each letter in the word, we're going to check if the character is in the guessed sequence, which is this over here. So if it's inside there, we're going to print that character. So character with an end line that is nothing, because by default, Python provides a new line at the end of each print statement. But we want our print statements to combine themselves. So we're going to add nothing as an end. Then we can say else print underscore. So if there's a letter that is not in our guess, we're just going to put an underscore so we can try to guess it again. So here we'll type in end equals empty quotation marks again, and we want to say blanks plus equals 1. The reason we're keeping track of blanks is because when there are no blanks left, the user has won the game. So we just want to make sure that there are no blanks left eventually. Now, it's also a good idea right here to create an empty print statement just because we want some space. And that's all this print statement is going to do. It's going to provide a blank line. So you can even add a comment if you prefer, saying what this does. So adds a blank line. And I highly recommend you add a comment like this when you're adding a print statement without any information, because this code does not really explain anything, but we still want it to format our script. So let's move on to checking whether the user has won the game. So if blanks is equal to 0, that means that there are no letters to guess anymore, which means the word has been completed. And that also means that the user has guessed the word. You got it. And we need to break out of this while loop because the game is over and we do not need to loop anymore. Now, both of these should be inside the while loop. So I'm going to tap on tab so they actually get inside this while loop. Next, we want to create our guess. We want to get the user input for that guess. So here we'll type in input and we'll type in enter a letter. Once we have that letter, we can check if the guess is in the guessed letters. Then we're going to do the following. We're going to print that you already used, and we're going to print that guess. So guess, please try with another letter. Because we want to be kind to the user, and if they guess the same letter twice, we don't want to punish them for that. Of course, you can change that if you want. If you want your program to be much more unforgiving, just remove this line. Otherwise, this is a forgiving check. And if we made it that far, we can now append to guessed the guess. So if we guess A, it's going to add A to guessed. If we then say B, guessed is now going to equal AB. So it's going to contain the guesses in a string. Now next we should check if the guess is not in the word. Then we're going to say tries minus equals 1 because it is a bad guess. And we can even print that, sorry, that was wrong. And we will add the tries. So tries remaining. So it will tell the user how many tries they have left. And of course, if the tries is equal to 0, then it is a game over because the user has no tries remaining. So here we can print no more tries remaining, you lose. And we're going to break out of this while loop because there's no point in continuing the game if the user has lost. But outside of this while loop, we can now type in if name is equal to main, or in PyCharm, you can just type in main and it's going to create that check. And if that's the case, we're going to run the game. So with that being done, we now have all the code we need to play Hangman. And I'm going to tap on run. So first we should enter our name, which is going to be Federico. And it's going to say welcome to Hangman Federico. But there was a problem here and the code prematurely finished. So the problem in our script was that we were checking that tries was more than 3 and we initially set this to 3. This was supposed to be 0 because we're checking that there are more tries than 0 remaining. Of course, if we have 3 here, this is never going to be true, so this line of code will be skipped. But now that I fixed that, we can rerun the program, and here I can type in my name, and finally we can play the game. So I'm going to try with a B. That was wrong. I'm going to try with an S, and we finally have a letter. Then we can add T, and at this point we kind of know what it is, so we can type in the whole word, and it's going to say you got it. So we have a very simple version of Hangman here. But we have one more problem with our script, which makes it very easy to cheat. And I'm going to leave this as a homework problem for you to figure out, because again, the best way to master Python is to practice. So let me show you right now what the problem is. Right now we have this game. We say our name is our name. But look what happens when I type in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. We have this glitch that we made one guess and we have 2 tries remaining because, of course, a lot of these letters are wrong, but we also guessed it because we inserted letters that were part of the word, so at the end we also won the game. So that's a major speed run for this program. So your homework is to create a way of checking that the user is not trying to cheat like this. Make it so that the user can only insert one letter at a time, or that they can insert the full word and guess it to get full points without having to guess one letter at a time.